Welcome back to our channel, Living in Washington State. Today, we're going to be talking about the pros and the cons of living in Ellensburg, Washington. Stick around till the end to hear why I stayed in this small town after college. If you're new here, I'm Joe, and our real estate-based channel focuses on highlighting the lifestyle that Washington State has to offer. If you're anything like me, you probably have no idea what Ellensburg is all about. Honestly, before I came to Central Washington University to play baseball, I really didn't know there was anything beyond the gas stations and the fast food down by I-90. Now I promise if you decide to venture north of I-90, further into town, you're not going to be disappointed. So let's get into the pros and cons of living in Ellensburg, Washington. Let's start off with con number one. And let's really not beat around the bush with this one. The weather can be unpredictable here in Ellensburg. And what we mean by that is the wind is a bit of a roller coaster. Like really, it's like a roller coaster sometimes. 45-mile-an-hour winds all day long or all week. And sometimes in the springtime, it feels like all month long. So that's actually a big con here in Ellensburg. It's such a big deal that we kind of call it the W word, because on a day that's as beautiful as today, which we're actually in the springtime here, you don't want to say the W word because you don't want it to wreck it. The wind can be such a big negative for some people that it's actually a complete deal breaker of living here and calling Ellensburg home. A pro tip, if you want to survive the wind when it's 45-mile-an-hour windy days, is I like putting in earphones or headphones of some kind. It actually covers it up and makes the wind not feel as hard. But that's just a pro tip, personal choice there. If you have to be out and weather the storm, that's what I would do. Some people wonder why it's so windy in Ellensburg, and I'm pretty sure it has something to do with the fact that we're on the east side of the Cascade Mountains, right at the mouth of the Snoqualmie Pass, and all the weather gets funneled right through that pass, kind of acts as this weather/wind funnel. But you should talk to a scientist to figure out the exact reasonings. A positive thing about the wind, despite that it's so negative, is one, it keeps temperatures a little cooler here as opposed to other places in central Washington. Down in Yakima to the south, it could be 10 to 15 degrees hotter during the summertime than in Ellensburg. So that's very nice, which also clears out our air, and we have better air quality here in Ellensburg. If you are looking to come to Ellensburg sometime, the two most windy months are April and May, and maybe a little bit of June. So just plan accordingly if you're planning a trip out to Ellensburg, Washington. One of the biggest pros of Ellensburg is definitely the community. It's super tight knit. It's only 20,000 people in this little town, and that's just including when school's in session. This old cowboy town is known for community things in the summertime. You have farmers market, very musical town. There's a whole weekend that's called Jazz Fest. And a lot of bands and incredible musicians come to town. In the winter, instead of farmers market out here on this street, they have winter night markets, which is cool. So it just creates this small town community and vibe. Only an hour and a half to an hour and 45 minutes from the greater Bellevue area. You'd be really shocked to find this small town America. So suffice to say, the first pro of living in Ellensburg is the small, tight community. I can personally attest that, and anyone that's lived here for any amount of time, they'll say, I love Ellensburg because of the small town community and everything that comes along with that. Now, let's get into another con of living in Ellensburg, Washington, which is ironic because it's the flip side of the small town, that the job market here is very limited because it's such a small town. You do have Central Washington University, which provides a big market share of the jobs in the local community. But beyond that, you have farming, ranching, and construction. Construction seems to be booming. We'll be talking about that in a little bit. Want to work for a major company like Amazon or Google, your only option here in Ellensburg is most likely to work remote, which a lot of people do. If you're looking for the job pool here in Ellensburg, it's very limited. Another pro about Ellensburg, Washington is the real estate market and the affordability compared to the western side of the state. When you compare and contrast the same home that you can get here in Ellensburg compared to the same home over in North Bend, it's kind of crazy, and you see why I was talking earlier about the fact that there are people that choose to live here and commute to Western Washington over the pass. So the opportunity is so great here. It's a huge pro of why you'd live in Ellensburg is the affordability, not only the cost of living, but especially when it comes to real estate. This drastic difference in pricing isn't going to last forever. And you can see that just by looking at what home prices were in Ellensburg only 6-7 years ago and what they are today. You can see that upward trend as people are migrating from the greater Seattle area over the mountains to where it's sunnier and there's a lot more opportunity right now. So despite all the charm of being a small town and all the pros that go along with that, another con that Ellensburg has is if you're looking for that urban city nightlife, Ellensburg is definitely not the place. Even the hardware stores close at 5 p.m. If you need a big, we'll call them box stores, like the orange one or the blue one, then you're gonna need to go down to Yakima. There aren't any big stores like that. So it makes it difficult if you're trying to do home renovations projects, or if you're just trying to go out at night. Nothing is out too late. There's a handful of bars, more for the college scene, but beyond that, there isn't much of a nightlife, and Seattle is about 2 hours away. So if you really are seeking that nightlife, it is a little bit of a trek. So this is definitely a con for a lot of people, especially university students that aren't quite used to just the drastic difference that Ellensburg is compared to an urban central hub. Another pro about Ellensburg is just the fact that it's really an outdoor paradise. What I mean by that, me and my family and friends, we personally enjoy the outdoor sports all year long. We love skiing, we love dirt biking, we love boating, we love hiking, we love camping. A lot of my friends and family enjoy hunting, and that's all here, which is just a huge pro if you're interested in living in Ellensburg, Washington. Ellensburg is just prime location. There's a lot of people that akin it to a small Bend, Oregon, as far as the high adventure, all seasons paradise if you love the outdoors. It's very close to a few different ski resorts. This really is Rodeo City of Washington State. So obviously that there's plenty of culture that really embodies that cowboy lifestyle. And it just really transfers to how there's lots of opportunity for anybody if you love the outdoors. Obviously, I have a lot of opinions on pros and cons of living in Ellensburg, but let's chat with some locals and listen to what they have to say.
My name's Kira Gretsch. I own a floral design company here in Ellensburg.
My name is Micah. I'm a dog trainer.
First name is Kent, K-E-N-T, like the city. I retired from teaching 24 years up at CWU.
I've been here for a decade this year.
I graduated from Central Washington University.
I like Ellensburg because I feel like the community and the local economy does a really good job of supporting creative industries.
For me, living here, you've got a university. So if you want to watch sports, if you want to go to concerts, if you want to audit classes, things like that, there's always stuff going on up there.
The pros, I would say, is the weather.
The biggest pro, the slow pace of life.
Is specifically because of the community.
That there's a lot more for kids to do.
Part of the DNA of Ellensburg is the ranching and farming, a community of just folks of the earth.
I feel like I can enjoy life a lot more here in Ellensburg than if I were back home in Vancouver.
Ellensburg still appreciates the arts.
Another plus is that you can get desert and river, but then another hour, and when I was an undergraduate, I was a ski instructor up at Snoqualmie Pass. You want a lot of trees? Go west. You want desert? Go east. And in an hour, you're in a different universe.
Cons would probably be the wind.
Con is not having as many activities to do.
We have seen a cost of living increase. That has been hard.
If you have to have shopping, we're not great.
Doesn't mean that there's no activities here. There definitely are.
As somebody who's self-employed, it's hard for me to get supplies on demand.
Things start shutting down mostly around like 8:30.
Well, if you're from an urban environment and that's what you got to have, forget it. This is not urban.
One more pro, community.
The community is really good. I remember like right when I moved here, I had worked for about a week and I had the thought, Nobody has yelled at me.
I found it to be a lot easier to find community in a smaller town.
It's a lot of hikes. Like we went yesterday to the falls over up Tatum Road.
It's great because we don't have as much crime coming in. It feels secluded in a nice way.
There's lots of building going on in Ellensburg. People are discovering.
I don't have a ton of cons yet.
I feel like the people here are just super nice and just so much more laid back.
It's like, it's pretty common that I go to a grocery store, like, oh, I know that person.
This is so weird. Like everybody that I've met has been so nice.
If you like life not controlling you, but rather you get to enjoy life, Ellensburg is definitely the place for you.
Thanks for sticking around to this point in the video for our pros and cons of living in Ellensburg, Washington. And the reason that I stayed in Ellensburg, Washington after graduation is actually a few different reasons. Reason number one was definitely because I had an opportunity just before graduation to start a small business here. And so that was a great opportunity. I'm indeed a little bit entrepreneurial, and so it was very alluring, and the opportunity for a potential business and growth here in Ellensburg was way too much to pass up. What really was intertwined with that was the fact that the community, that pro that I talked about earlier in the video, when I said that I can attest to this myself, I'm dead serious. The community here in Ellensburg is something like nothing else. I love Ellensburg and the greater Kittitas County. Me being born and raised in Snoqualmie, Washington, I've always loved the outdoors, which really just coincides with the great community that is here in Ellensburg. And since graduating, I actually met my now wife, who's joined me in my different businesses, including real estate, as I've joined the BigDogRealty.com team. And there's just so much that's bright on the horizon for the future of Ellensburg, Washington. For me, the pros far outweigh the cons, but honestly, you should come check it out yourself. And if you have any other opinions, comment below. Thank you so much for joining us on this video. If you enjoyed this, please like and subscribe, as it really helps our channel out and helps other people who are looking to discover more hidden gems of Washington State. Until next time.